Again, this portion of the meeting is our public comment section. Public comment is just as it is detailed. This is the opportunity for community members to give comments, to ask questions. Again, the questions will be denoted and taken by our Assistant Administrator, Rosie. If it is a question that we can respond to you immediately, we most definitely will. But again, most of the questions that community members ask, we want to take time and be efficient and be effective in our answers. So it may take us about 48 hours to respond to your question. If you have a question that you are not feeling comfortable stating out loud, again, we have a lot of sensitive issues. Please turn to the back of the public comment sheet. Right here is right on the back where you can write your comments, your suggestions. All you need to do once you're done is fold the sheet over and hand it over to a staff member. We will answer your question. If it is a question that you would like us to comment back to you guys personally, please leave your email address. If it is not something that you would like us to comment about immediately, or you can wait until our next meeting, we will definitely give you guys your answer then. Again, we adhere to the step up and step back method, which means if you raise your hand, I will come over, especially because this is a tight room, give you your microphone. If you are able to stand, please do stand so that we can see you. Also, we like to allow community members to have about 2 comments per public comment period. It allows our data to remain true to how many individuals are within the room. And lastly, please limit your comments to just about 2 minutes. When you're getting up to your time at about 1 minute and 30 seconds, I may come and stand next to you just to let you know that you have about 30 more seconds to speak. And again, if you have more questions, more comments, please feel free to fill out the back of this sheet. Okay, our public comment period is open. If you have a question, please do raise your hand.
Thank you. My name is Gary Cantor. I live in Cuyahoga County. This is the cover sheet of the consent decree. The third Roman numeral reads Community Engagement and Building Trust. And letter A underneath that is Community Police Commission, and it starts with paragraph 15. Community engagement and building trust. That includes transparency. Ohio has sunshine laws, which are in regards to public bodies and open records. It is the Attorney General who's responsible for enforcing these laws. We have a former Ohio Attorney General on the commission. Apparently one of his people also worked for the Attorney General, so they should know the law. And this commission meets in private once a month. They meet privately once a month. They don't notice their meetings. They don't publish their minutes. They used to meet publicly twice a month. In the summer of 2016, they decided to meet privately once a month. I was told to leave that first meeting where they changed how they do things. Law Director Lang Henry assures me that it's okay for them to meet in private. It's not. And she refers to Section 81 of the Cleveland Charter. And this is Section 81 of the Cleveland Charter. And I could read it to you. In fact, I will. And this body does not meet any of the requirements of Section 81 of the Cleveland Charter. Thank you. Thank you. I have the floor. The director of a department, with the approval of the mayor, may appoint a board. Well, you weren't appointed by any director. The members of any such commission shall serve without compensation. Okay, that part's true. And their duty shall be to consult and advise with the commissioner. And I guess that's the chief of police. Thank you. I have the floor until the chairperson takes it from me. Any recommendation of this board shall be in writing. Stated public meetings of such board shall be called by the commissioner. Well, he doesn't do that. The commissioner of the division shall be chairman of such meetings. And this was effective November 9, 1931.
Thank you, Mr. Cantor.
Again, I understand.
Okay, I'm gonna say this, that the fact that we're giving, I can speak without it.
I understand
fact
that,
that
but
we're having a meeting-
the purpose of these meetings and the purpose of public comment is not to heighten tensions.
I'm not
We're
trying-
supposed
well,
to.
actually, you don't know what
we
I'm
are-
gonna say, 'cause you have to
I'm
give
not
me
stating that. I'm simply stating that we do a step up and step back.
Okay.
That literally means that when the microphone is passed to you, that's when we allow individuals to speak. We don't necessarily cede time. We don't necessarily allow the continuation of
Okay,
comments.
I would like to speak.
That's perfectly fine.
Thank you. Okay, first and foremost, the 3 meetings I have been to, besides this one, the doors have been locked. When we met at my name is Rochelle Obuji, Ogbuji. Email address raogbuji@gmail.com. Telephone number 614-962-4588. Let me state this. The first meeting, doors were locked, had to knock on the door, and this was at a public community college. Second meeting, knocked at a public community college. The last meeting I came to, it was in a building that was locked. I stood outside and this officer right here, I was in tears in my eye, saying, how can we have a meeting when you lock the doors and it's not met in public? And then now we have rules that it's 2 minutes, but yet and still it's community, but we sat and listened to a PR campaign about how we as the community need to step up. I'm sitting here and I'm in awe that in a lot of psychological settings, this would be kind of pushing back, blaming the community and the victim. It's not okay. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and say, and that's okay, I have 30 minutes. I get that. I understand. But what I'm going to say is this, is that our voices will not be silent. We're not going to direct this and ask for our help, and at the same time, when we're asking for accountability, that we're being treated as if we're third graders. It's not okay. And it doesn't matter if you have the right faces in places to be able to depict and keep the silent voices abreast. We will stand up and we will hold you all accountable. I don't see anyone on here who's representing mental health. I think it's great that we have friends and people who are in colleague and together. I think it's great. But are you going to stand up? We're looking for a transparent committee. We're looking for a transparent government, and it's not going to be business the same.
Thank you so much.
So really quickly, just to answer just the last portion of your question.
Right now, because I don't want to take the time. I want to give it out to other people.
Great. Awesome.
My name is Pat Needham. I'm here representing Surge. My recollection is that the use of force policy was initially proposed over a year ago. This commission provided dozens of pages of comment to the police department, recommendations, suggestions, additional material to look at. I'm not aware that the police department responded to those comments in any way, except to then, after considerable time, publish a use of force policy that was barely 3 pages long. Does the monitor have any role in having the police actually explain when they don't accept recommendations from this commission? When they don't accept recommendations from the public? Is this going to be the same thing with bias-free policing? I really expect more from the monitor on this. I expect very little from the city.
Thank you. Again, please don't be shy, and if you have any questions or comments that you would like to place on the back sheet, please make sure that you are doing so. We have pens up there. If you need a pen, just quickly raise your hand. We are more than happy to give you one. Awesome. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Johnny Ham. On the CPC Facebook page, I have been verbally attacked and called derogatory names when I post my opinions and perspective. In addition, that those that attack me and call me names also repeatedly refer to my employment with the City of Cleveland Division of Police. It is an attempt to get others to attack me based on my employment or to limit what I post for fear of discipline from an agency that fears employee-free speech. And immediately after the last CPC meeting last month and before everyone left, I was confronted by one of the attendees and called a racist. Within 10 days, that same person researched me and called my district to file a complaint about how long my police car was parked at a location. That person also spoke to me on the phone while I was at work and again called me a racist, among other things. That complaint has been proven to be false because of the GPS tracking in our police cars. Thankfully, we have that. As a result of my involvement with the CPC and the reform process, I have now been personally and professionally attacked. I was once asked by CPC staff why more police officers are not involved with the CPC in this process. And I think that what has been occurring to me is a perfect explanation as to why. In order to protect myself, I created an official report detailing these events, and an unofficial version of that report was provided to CPC staff if any of the commissioners would like to see it.
Thank you. I'm Gary Cantor, and so we have 13 commissioners who are supposed to represent the community. Page 5 or page 6 of the consent decree is almost a full page describing the diversity of this commission. And now with two of the most recent appointees, we now have 3 white male attorneys and 3 police officers. That's 6 out of the 13 members who are supposed to be representing our diverse community. Frankly, I don't see that as representing our diverse community.
This is an antidote. I would prefer just not to stand up on this one if it's okay. I think it's important. One of the things that I advocate, and the first time I spoke, is about mental health. One of our mental health advocates just passed away. One of the things that I said to her is, I will do what I can to be a vocal advocate, not just as a person who has been trained, but as a person who identifies with mental health issues. I have post-traumatic stress due to the loss of my 3 children. I've already explained that. But I think it's important that some of the work that has been done with the Adams Board, with the CPC in this consent decree about the special training for officers, when they approach someone that may appear to have a mental health issue, we have to make sure that we are following the protocol that is set up. It's there. Many people worked long and hard to put it there. We have to land our ego. When some people are looking confused, but some of the officers know what I'm talking about, the first response. We need to make sure that we utilize that, because that opens the door for a lot of misunderstanding in the community, especially when it's already there. So we can push it back to the community, but what are we going to do about utilizing the things that we're working for and that are in place? It's really important. The last thing I'm going to say is we want to have a bridge of communication, but we have to weed out a lot of the, I'm going to say this, is the propaganda of how we're going to direct how the community as well as the commissioners respond. If this is going to work organically, everyone is going to have to speak their truth and come to a consensus. And it may be hard to listen to. It may be hard to digest. But if we don't get it out, we're going to land back here in 20 years.
Thank you so much.
Okay, this will be the last call for any public comments, questions that we have for CPC staff, questions that we have for our commissioners here.
This is Pat Needham again. And I guess I would just like to see more information about what the high school kids said posted on the website, if that's possible. I certainly want to respect their privacy, but I'm very curious to know what other things they were interested in or suggested.
Okay, I think that we are going to close this public comment period. Dr. Connor, do you have any objections?
Oh, of course not.
Okay, great. Again,
you
if
for
you have
asking.
any questions, comments, concerns, please do email us at info@clecpc.org. Again, info@clecpc.org. We are fully accessible via all of our social media, and most definitely will be ready to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. At this time, commissioners, on the agenda, we have allowed at least 10 minutes. If you've heard a community comment that you would like to respond to, it is as appropriate. Anyone like to respond to? Okay. Dr. Clegg.
I just wanted to just say, I think we've talked before, as a psychiatrist, a medical director at Recovery Resources, and a community psychiatrist throughout my career. I'm the mental health representative on the commission. And you write that losing our friend and colleague and leader, Valeria Harper, last week was a big loss, and the church was packed. It was a real testament to how much she's meant to this community.
And I didn't go to the funeral just because I lost my mother.
Oh, sorry.
I want to just tell you, thank you. I didn't know that you were the mental health, so you did answer my question. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Hi. I'd just like to respond as well. Just so you know a little bit about me as a staff member, I'm actually a licensed social worker. Oh, sorry. I'm a licensed social worker. I have my bachelor's in social work and my master's in social work here from Case Western, and about 10 years of experience in the nonprofit sector. Everything from working on the front lines with many different population groups to writing grants and designing programs around those population groups as well, to evaluating those programs. Have personal experience with these issues in my own life as well. So certainly the mental health aspect is not lost between the staff and the commissioners.
If I could add to Dr. Carter. Oh, I'm sorry. I only gave you a truncated version of my background. For 10 years, I was the chairman of the VNA, and during that tenure, started a joint venture for mental health care with St. Vincent, and worked all through the training and development of nursing training on that project that turned out to be very successful. One of the reasons I'm wanted to be on this commission was the significance of the mental health community is large, and in this sector, drastic, and we're only touching the surface. So that is a priority of mine. I don't have the skill set of Dr., but it's something I'm very much exposed to and mindful of.
Okay?
Thank you.
Mr. Sellers?
What was your name again, sir? Johnny Ham. I want to say and acknowledge that, like, I heard you, and it's important to me as I've been in this process and I've grown on this topic, right? That we have more police officers involved in the conversation from that perspective. So I hear you. Also, I apologize that that is your experience, that has happened to you. It is not something that we, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for the commission saying, like, we don't want anyone attacked for their ideals, whether we agree with them or not. And so I applaud you for staying with it. I think that this is a space that is and can be very contentious because the topic is so personal in nature. Because at the end of the day, we're really talking about life and death, right? And when you're talking about life and death, things get very, very touchy, very, very fast. And so we want a space for you to speak your truth, and we need a space for the community to speak their truth. And whatever we can do as a commission to make this space safe for all, we will do that. And I know that that's part of why Chi-Chi has implemented a lot of the things that she has implemented, and taken some of the blows that she's taken on behalf of the commission, because we need this space to be safe. And as far as, and I'm going to be done after this, as far as the diversity of the commission, I think that there's a huge diversity of thought on this commission. It's not just, faces in a space. It's a lot of people who are very committed to the work for Cleveland's sake. And it's not as diverse as it could be, right? We don't have any Latinas, right? I didn't want to say the wrong word there. Latinx, okay. Because I want to include both, right? And so that is a huge part of our community that is not represented, right? Our Muslim community is not represented. We can go down the line of communities. Our trans community is not represented on this council, right? So there's a bunch of people who are not here, but the things that are here are very thoughtful people who care about our community. And I want that to be the spirit of the conversation going forward in 2018. I'm sorry if it comes off as prescriptive, that like it's blaming the community. It's far from that. What we have found in our 2 years is that we have to coax very hard to make sure that you have the right information so that you are digesting it and giving us back the information. Because we trust the community when they have the correct information. And so we want to make sure that we do our part to make sure that you have the information that you need to digest properly, to give us back what we need for those recommendations, and make our voice very, very strong when it comes to the city.
Thank you. Any other commission? Oh,
Just really fast, just a note on your experience at a couple of commission meetings where the outside doors were locked. I think you're referencing our meetings at Tri-C at Jerry Sue Thornton. As you said, it is a public community college. Nevertheless, we have to adhere to the rules that they have. They sent us an email a couple of months ago stating that all of their doors needed to be locked, period, and we were not able to prop them open. This is a mandate that is from from Tri-C, so it's not necessarily something that we can change. We do not have the locks. We are guests in that space, so therefore we need to be able to adhere to their rules the same way that we're adhering to the rules here at the Cleveland Public Library Lorraine branch. Again, we're going to be having meetings around the city, and that means we need to be cognizant of the rules and the spaces that we definitely inhabit. And again, from staff, we do apologize that you were locked out, that there was a locking situation. But as you see in our meetings, we have our assistant administrator taking notes. Bethany is doing data. I'm running around doing public comment. We did not have a second community engagement coordinator. So it's very difficult for us to be in two spaces at the same time. Again, our meetings are open, our meetings are welcome, and we are very, very happy that you guys are here joining us in 2018.
The last meeting was not at
The building.
Jerry Sue. It was actually at the Payne office where you guys were housed.
Perkins.
Again, we have to adhere to their.
We should probably get a volunteer by the door so we can keep it open. That's a pretty safe thing.
Yeah, so, yeah, and we'd already talked, Rosie and I had already talked about when the meeting is on our site. Yes. Okay, other comments,
Just a quick
commissioners?
comment about the training as far as police is concerned. You know, because of some of the incidents that has transpired, I think the division is more conscientious about training police officers to be more in tune and dealing with mental patients out in the street and trying to find the proper resources in order to, and that's what the whole CPOP is about too. We're trying to get on board and work that out. And I believe at our last retreat, we talked about that and brought us some good ideas in order to help, you know, work with that issue of dealing, having, you know, police officers trained and to do, you know, to better do their job and dealing with and identifying, you know, mental situations to where other alternatives other than arrests and things like that, you know. So we're working on that, and with the decree, you know, all the officers have been trained, you know, extensively for the CIT training, you know. So we're working on it.
Okay, thank you, commissioners, for follow-up. And the questions that were not addressed tonight, we will have those posted on our website at a later date.
And quite possibly presented at our next meeting in Glenville in February.
Okay. Thank you so much for your comments. Now we will move to a commissioner reflections, finding balance. At this juncture in our meeting, we have Detective Lynn Hampton from the Black Shield and the community leader that will talk about his time on the commission from 2015 to 2017 in his own words.